All right, NFL playoffs are here. So I'm going to be going over my predictions for the rest of the playoffs, including this week and then forward. This is basically my bracket article from last year, just put into video form. Those of you who may have seen my article last year, you saw me predict spot on what would happen with the Jaguars and Chargers game. I said that the Chargers would come out to an early lead and then they would just blow it. So I'm not I saying I'm pretty good at this. No. It was it was kind of common sense last year, but this year, well, let's get started. So Browns. So let's get started. Browns at Texans. Browns are on a hot streak, and I love that defense. That defense is schematically amazing. They got talent on all levels on the D line, linebacker, corner, safety. It looks really good. They got depth. Um, Joe Flacco is putting this team at another level, which I and I never said that about a Ravens team with Joe Flacco. So, um, yeah, it's kind of crazy how good the Browns are right now. Amari Cooper's finally showing consistency. I'm so glad because I was a big fan of Amari Cooper coming out of college. I loved seeing him on the Raiders. He had drop issues. Then he went to Dallas. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, they just look really good. If they can get some consistency in that run game and Joe Flacco plays like he's been playing, not amazing, but definitely not what he used to be, then the Browns have a potential to go to the Super Bowl. I do have the Browns winning. I think the Texans' inexperience on all levels in the playoffs is probably going to be the thing that hurts them. But look, if you're a Texans fan, don't take it as this team is bad. It can't win a playoff game. Think of it as you're young and talented, and the future is really bright. I said that at the beginning of the year. The future is bright for the Texans. So look at whatever you do this season as we can be better. We can be even better than what just happened this year. Um, we saw Browns Texans earlier this year. It was no Stroud, but the Browns just still dominated. I don't even think Stroud would have made a difference in that game. So I am going with the Browns. And I mean, I kind of have to. They have Super Bowl experience on coaching and players. So I am going with the experience here. I'm going with the talent. I'm going with the depth. I'm going with the Browns beating the Texans. Next, if you've seen the weather, it looks really bad. It's what, negative single digits, feels like negative 20s and 30-mile-an-hour winds. No thanks. I'm not picking the Dolphins. Dolphins played with teams all year long with that heat. They were wearing all white uniforms most of the year because sunlight wasn't being absorbed onto the white compared to the colored uniforms that the away teams would then be wearing. And on top of that, the way the stadium's designed, the sunlight goes to the away team sidelines. So yeah, now it comes back to bite them when they go on the road and play Kansas City. So yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs. It sucks. Both these teams are doing really good. If you said at any point in the year that the Chiefs or Dolphins could go to the Super Bowl, I'm sure those are two of the top teams that people were thinking of all year long. It sucks. One of these teams might lose and think, oh, we have to do something drastic. And you really don't. Both these teams are just designed really well. There's a lot of potential. I mean, you're the Chiefs, you've been successful. I go get a wide receiver or at some point this free agency, trade for one or do something. If the Dolphins lose, this was a successful year. There's potential there. You just need to, I think, get stronger try to build more on the offensive line and the defensive front seven. But yeah, it sucks. One of these teams is going to lose. And it sucks. Weather is going to be an extreme factor in this game. So yeah, give me the Chiefs at home in this weather. Next game, Bills Steelers. I'm going with the Bills. Weather is also going to be a problem in this game. There's rumors that this game could go to Cleveland if the snow is really bad. If they're playing in the snow for this game, the Steelers could win this game. The Steelers really could. If it's just a run game, then the Steelers, I mean, they got Najee, you got Warren. I think they're more of a traditional style of offense, and the Bills are very inconsistent in stopping the run for the last couple of years now. But if the weather's not as effective in this game, yeah, I'm going with the Bills. I think with no TJ Watt, that plays a huge factor in how you're playing this team. Um, you're trusting Mason Rudolph to play against the Bills. I know both teams have got injuries. I get it. But I don't trust Mason Rudolph against the Bills defense that McDermott's helping scheme. But yeah, I gotta go Bills here. Next game is Green Bay at Dallas. You know, everything on paper says the Cowboys should win this game and it shouldn't be close. But we said that about the Vikings Giants game last year, that the Vikings had pretty much everything going for them, and there's no reason that the Vikings should have lost to the Giants, but they did. Um, that's kind of how I'm feeling going into this game. Everyone's gonna pick the Cowboys. The experience goes to the Cowboys. The coaching staff is, I mean, I like the Packers coaching staff a little more than the Cowboys. I don't really like Mike McCarthy all that much. I think the Texas coast offense is it's not, I don't know. I don't believe in it. Um, but players, I mean, the Cowboys got more depth than the Packers, but the Packers, I mean, they're very balanced, I guess you could say, but so are the Cowboys. I'm going with the Packers because of the fact that it feels like all signs are pointing to an obvious Cowboys win, but I don't think it's gonna be that easy. It's not that easy when playoffs come, and you notice that. So yeah, give me the Packers. I think the Packers could win by running for 200 yards. They could win by passing for 400 yards. They could win by dominating the Cowboys passing attack. They could dominate the Cowboys by just stopping them from running at all. So, yeah, give me the Packers. I'm going to be the one to do it. Also, I don't like either of these teams, quite honest with you. I don't really like the Packers. I definitely don't like the Cowboys, but that's not really playing into my factor. Go on Sunday when the games were going, I'm like, yeah, I got to pick the Cowboys to win. Like I had it written down in my bracket, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna change it. I'll go Green Bay. Rams at Lions is next. So Rams last couple months of the season have been really kicking things into high gear. People are getting healthy. Defense is looking a little better. They're getting Kyron Williams looks awesome. Um, they are really showing some of that Super Bowl magic that they had a couple years ago. Um, you know, they really could. I have a lot of hopes for this Rams team. Detroit, they have a really good team too. Detroit is a really good team. This is the clear game of the week for me. So back in December, I had said to the rest of the admins in our group chat that we have, my gut told me that Matthew Stafford was going to go to Detroit and play in a playoff game against the Lions. And it happened. It feels right. And it feels like whoever wins this game could end up winning the next round and possibly the round after to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna go Rams. I think What it's going to come down to is Goff has not looked good against certain teams. I mean, he didn't look good in some of those divisional games. He was keeping the Bears and the Vikings in those games against the Lions and really shouldn't have been that close. Then you look at the Ravens game, the Lions got destroyed. They did get destroyed by the Ravens. I have a lot to say about the Ravens, and I'll get to them. No Sam Laporta. I trust that the Rams could slow down or stop the Lions' run game between Montgomery and Gibbs. I really like Gibbs too, but I feel like that experience of that Rams team is going to be what keeps them in this, and it's going to come down to stopping or slowing down Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, the Sun God he's really good, and he's going to be the X factor for the Lions offense. And I think the Rams defense can really do damage to that offense. And when it comes down to the Rams offense versus the Lions defense, I really don't think it's going to be that close. And because the Lions defense has been inconsistent all year. Sometimes they look really good. Then other times they are awful and you need to fire some of the coaching staff of that defense. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Rams. They're going to be my sleeper for the playoffs. And Eagles at Bucks. I have a lot to say about this Eagles team. I know everybody's going to pick the Bucks to win because of the way the Eagles season has gone on the last couple of weeks. I get it. I get it. Um, if this was against pretty much anyone, any other division, I would say, yeah, it doesn't look like the Eagles are going to win. The Bucks just put up 9 points against the Panthers last week. They won 9-0. I I think both these coaching staffs are not good at all. There's a couple bright spots in there, but I'm gonna say it comes down to the talent of the players, and I'm gonna go with the Eagles. The Eagles have more depth, more talent, more balanced team. Yeah, I gotta have to go with the Eagles. Look what happened earlier this year. I think the X factor is what can the Eagles offense do against the Bucks defense. I think when it comes down to the Bucks offense versus the Eagles defense, we've pretty much seen what goes on. Um, the Bucks offense just can't seem to replicate the success of other teams against similar opponents. So like I don't think the Bucks could do what the Seahawks or what the Cowboys, what the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys, all those teams, even the Giants can do because they're kind of dysfunctional in the scheme of their offense. Their run game's inconsistent. Rashad White has had a good year, but it's been very inconsistent at times. Baker Mayfield, some games he'll look like he's throwing 4 touchdowns, the next he's throwing interceptions and losing the game. Mike Evans is clearly the X factor. I would love to see Darius Slay on Mike Evans for this game. And I think Chris Godwin is the true X factor. Mike Evans is the better wide receiver, but Godwin's going to be the X factor because Darius Slay and Evans, that's going to be a battle all game. We all know that. It's going to be who's covering Godwin. That's going to be what happens. This game's another game where weather's probably going to be an issue. I heard thunderstorms potentially. Might be a really rainy game, but who knows? But I'm picking the Eagles. So based off who I think wins the divisional round is Cleveland at Baltimore, Kansas City at Buffalo, Green Bay at San Francisco, and Los Angeles at Philadelphia. Let's start with Cleveland and Baltimore. This might be the game of the playoffs. I'm super excited about this game because I think both these defenses are the two best defenses in the year. I think both these defenses have been the best and most consistent all year long. I love both these teams, the way they're set up. the way their coaching staff is organized, the players. It's going to be a fun game. You're going to see Joe Flacco going back to Baltimore, leading the Browns to the playoffs against the Ravens, who he helped win a Super Bowl. This game might impact the legacy of Lamar and Joe Flacco because if Lamar wins, then he's going to the AFC Championship game for the first time in his career. And and the Ravens are going to be on a hot streak. They are really looking good. Like the Ravens can beat everybody in the NFL if they wanted to. And I think the only teams that can stop them are in the AFC North, teams that they frequently play against. If the Steelers were to make it, wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers beat the Ravens. Had the Bengals been in the playoffs, even with Jake Browning or Joe Burrow, wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Ravens. And the Browns, I won't be shocked if the Browns beat the Ravens. But I think what it will come down to is who has the better run game. And the Ravens just have a better run game. They're more consistent. The Browns are very inconsistent. I like Jerome Ford, but they've just been very inconsistent at that aspect of the game. And Joe Flacco would need to not turn the ball over. Yes, they've been winning games despite his turnovers, but this Ravens team is a very different team. This is one of the best Ravens teams I've seen. Team might be better than the team that won the Super Bowl. And I'm going Baltimore. I think Lamar can get this done. I think this is the game this where Lamar can play consistent and dominant football and they can beat the Browns. Then Chiefs at Bills, first time in a while that they've played one another in a playoff game. And Mahomes is going to Buffalo. I've been looking back and forth. I've been thinking, what would look better? A Mahomes and Chiefs versus Lamar and Ravens AFC Championship game, or a Josh Allen and Bills versus Lamar Jackson and Ravens AFC Championship game. And I think what it'll come down to is kind of what we saw earlier in the game this year. Um, it came down to just the Chiefs' weapons aren't very good at all. They're one of the worst in the entire league, and Mahomes has to carry them. Travis Kelce does not look like himself the last couple weeks. I trust Travis Kelce could turn it up, but I don't think Travis Kelce will be able to make up for what other players are doing. Chiefs defense and Bills defense, they both got good defenses. And the Bills have been running the ball better since they fired their offensive coordinator. Um, and I said it before the year, if the Bills want to win a Super Bowl, they got to run the ball good. Whoever's going to run the ball good in this game is likely going to win the game. So I'm going to go with the Bills. I don't feel great about that. Um, This is probably the one matchup where I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about either team winning. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills. I think the Bills finally get over the Chiefs hump in the playoffs. And this is where it'll come down to a Ravens Bills AFC Championship game. Now, before we get to the conference championship of the AFC, we'll go to the NFC divisional round. I have Rams at Eagles, and this is where I don't think this is where I think the Eagles will get outcoached. I think the Rams win this game. Um, it hurts, but I'm realistic. Um, this coaching staff would need to significantly change the way they play the games. And Nick Sirianni said before uh, that he's not changing for the playoffs. I don't like that. You got to be willing to change in areas that you have issues with. And the Rams have a very good coaching staff. They know what to do and what not to do. They have very good players and everybody's been experienced. Eagles are experienced in the playoffs. Rams are experienced in the playoffs. Both these coaching staffs are experienced in the playoffs. They'll come down, and both teams are very talented. I think the Eagles are deeper than the Rams on all aspects, but I think the Rams just are a better coached team. And that's just what's going to happen. That the Rams are going to outcoach the Eagles, and I have the Rams winning this game. Next, Packers at Niners. Yeah, I picked the Packers to upset the Cowboys. This is where that ends. Um, ain't no way. Ain't no way the Packers beat the Niners if they make it. Uh, but this is the stereotypical, just like we got the stereotypical Cowboys Packers game in the playoffs, we get a stereotypical Packers Niners game in the playoffs. I'm picking the Niners. Niners are just a better overall team. They're deeper, better coaching staff. They got more talented players. They can beat you running the ball, passing the ball. They can stop your run game. They can stop your pass game. And their special teams is pretty solid too. Jordan Love could have a really good game. He could, but I don't know. I think inexperience will be why the Packers lose this game. I'm going Niners. So now we got the final four teams: the Ravens, the Bills, the Niners, and the Rams. In the AFC, Bills at Ravens. I don't know many teams that can beat the Ravens right now. I said after the Niners game that there was two teams I would like to see play the Ravens, and that's the Dolphins and the Bills, because I would love to see how the Ravens play them. We saw what the Ravens did to the Dolphins. They made the Dolphins look silly. And now this is the one game, the final test that if they win this game, I'm pretty sure they'll win the Super Bowl. If the Ravens win this, yeah, they're definitely going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to be whoever's on the NFC side. It doesn't matter. They've beaten the top teams in the NFC. They've beaten the top teams in the AFC. They just look dominant. They look like they're ready for the Super Bowl win. Bills, they have struggled with turnovers. Guess what the Ravens excel in? Forcing turnovers. They excel at getting to the quarterback. They excel at pretty much everything on the defensive side of the ball. I trust the Ravens can shut down the Bills' offense. Really, the only thing you need to worry about is Josh Allen scrambling. So make sure you got one of those linebackers, Patrick Queen or Roquan Smith. Spying him, you could have one of your outside linebackers, Odafe Owe, Jadeveon Clowney, Kyle Van Noy. They have an amazing defense. They have an awesome defense on paper. Reverse it, Ravens offense versus Bills defense. Ravens could run right all over that Bills defense. It really doesn't matter. Passing is you Ravens really shouldn't even pass the ball all that much. They can easily win this game by just running the ball. I'm picking the Ravens to win. I yeah. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of a way this can be it's probably going to be close, but I don't it doesn't seem like it. Nothing on paper says this should be close. And you know what? I said that and I picked the Packers to beat the Cowboys in the wild card. But when you get to this point, it's like the best teams of the best teams. And I think the Ravens are pretty much the best team in football. Niners, Rams. Now, everybody wants a Niners Ravens Super Bowl. I don't expect that to happen. Not every time do we see the two top teams, top team in the NFC, top team in the AFC, battle one another, and I don't expect it to happen this time. I think the one team that can get under the skin of the Niners is the Rams. And they've done it before when playoffs come. So I'm gonna pick the Rams. I'm picking the Rams to win. Um, I think we might see a similar game to what happened a couple years ago in the NFC Championship game. But I mean, the Niners look like a different team. The Rams look like a different team. I think the Rams offense looks more balanced than they did a couple years ago. They don't have a better defense than they did, but they still have a solid defense. And the Niners, the Niners got Brock Purdy since then. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have a very good team all around them. Some injuries and since then, Talanoa Hufanga is not obviously not going to be playing in this game. And you have different position groups since then. Different coaching staffs, no D'Amico Ryans. So, that those division games sometimes they can get annoying. Sometimes you might be 16-1 and then you go play a team that you normally play and then you end up losing. You might be a really good team. Look at the Saints when they won the division a couple years ago and then lose to Tom Brady and the Bucks in the playoffs. Sometimes those division games work differently, and I think this one will work differently, and I have the Rams, the Cinderella story going to the Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl is Rams Ravens. It's a weird matchup. I don't think many people are going to have this one. A lot of people want to see Mahomes. A lot of people want to see Josh Allen. Yeah, a lot of people want to see Lamar Jackson. So the Ravens are probably most people's favorites. The NFC side, it's like most people want to see Purdy, Dak, Hurts. But hey, I'm going Rams. I think their experience is what helps them. They've been in situations like this. We've seen situations throughout the course of NFL history and just sports history where teams who win a championship next year they might stumble, they come back, make playoffs, but then they're back. They finally click at the right time, and I think this is the Rams' time to click. But when it comes down to it, Rams, Ravens, this Ravens team looks really good. This team looks like they could beat you every single way and dominate you every single way, whether that's running the ball, passing the ball efficiently. I mean, we saw what happened in the Dolphins game. Um, they can stop your run game, they can stop your pass game. They have an excellent coaching staff. They are deep on all levels. I mean, even at quarterback, if Lamar Jackson goes down, you have a Pro Bowl playoff experienced quarterback in Tyler Huntley. Like, who can say that? Who can say that? What teams can say that? You have Jadeveon Clowney coming off the bench. You got Kyle Van Noy, who's been to Super Bowls. This it's unfair. It's really unfair looking at this team. And people can say, "Oh, look, it's the Ravens. They're gonna go one and done." Do you realize this is a very different team than the last time Lamar took them to the playoffs? Coaching staff is completely different. If you think this Ravens team is any similar to those teams, you're out of your mind and you haven't been watching football the last couple of years or this year. Uh, this this offense looks just so much better. I'm so happy for Lamar. I was a huge fan of him coming out of college. I thought there's no way he shouldn't be the number one pick in the draft. I had him as the best quarterback in the draft that year, and a lot of people thought he was a running back because he was being run into the dirt by his old offensive coordinator. And finally, some offensive coordinator thought, maybe we should get this guy to actually pass the ball instead of just force feeding him, risking injuries. So I'm so happy, and I would be so happy to see Lamar win a Super Bowl and prove a lot of people wrong. I mean, he people are still hating on him, calling him a running back, and they really don't know what they're watching. I mean, you look at that Dolphins game; they're just on a different level. They you see that Niners game, they're on a different level. Yeah, I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl, and I'm picking Lamar to get his first. So that would be cool. That would be cool to watch. And you know what? If the Rams win the Super Bowl, Matt Stafford's got two. I like to see people who haven't won it in the past win it. Um, unless there's like some sort of storyline. Like when Peyton Manning won with the Broncos, you kind of wanted Peyton to win one with the Broncos. He already won one with the Colts. If this Stafford wins the second one, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Cooper Kupp wins the second one. Yeah, that's cool. Aaron Donald wins the second one. Yeah, that's cool. Lamar wins his first. Then it's like, oh, this dude's got he's probably gonna win MVP. I'm not picking him as MVP. Um, he's probably the best quarterback this year, but I'm not picking him for MVP. That's a whole other story. I have Christian McCaffrey, um, or Tyreek Hill. But Lamar wins, then he's got two MVPs and a Super Bowl win. That's a great start. Like you're suddenly one Super Bowl behind Patrick Mahomes. Lamar is so good, and I would like to see this. I would. And you know what? If a couple situations that I'm looking at, like if the Browns win the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco's got another ring. That's a weird. Then suddenly you're like the conversation turns to, is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? Because I would have never said that. If you told anyone like 2 months ago, is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? You would have said no. Why? Because he's probably going to finish statistically top 20 quarterback of all time in terms of career totals and yardage and touchdowns. Then if he wins a Super Bowl with the Browns get their first Super Bowl. He's got two Super Bowls with different organizations in the same division too. That'd be crazy if Joe Flacco. I think of all the quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, whose legacy would be impacted the most with a Super Bowl win, I do think it's Joe Flacco because suddenly it's like, is this guy a Hall of Famer? No, like it's a dumb. It sounds dumb, but is he? Because he kind of has the accolades, the late career numbers. He's got certain numbers and certain awards that it's like maybe he should be considered, but who knows? Josh Allen won his first Super Bowl. Oh, that would be cool. Seeing the Bills win their first Super Bowl, that would be awesome. Seeing Josh Allen win a Super Bowl, that'd be great too. We really don't need to see Mahomes win a third. I don't. I root against dynasties at that point. Um, if the Steelers somehow won the Super Bowl, I don't even understand. I wouldn't even understand physics. There's two teams that I just don't think there's three teams I don't think they have any shot at winning the Super Bowl. That's the Steelers, the Texans, and the Bucks. Rookie quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls. They don't go to Super Bowls. I told everybody Brock Purdy's not going to the Super Bowl last year, and people are like, no, no way. Yes, he got hurt. They still lost by a lot of points. Rookie quarterbacks don't go to Super Bowls. So I'm automatically just eliminating the Texans, especially with the a lot of inexperience on that team. And the Bucks, I wouldn't even understand anything. I wouldn't believe anyone if the Bucks won the Super Bowl. I would hide in my room for a couple months, probably the entire offseason if the Bucks won the Super Bowl. And the Steelers, I don't know what you can really rely on. There's a lot of inconsistencies that would plague them against teams like the Chiefs, like the Bills, like the Dolphins. They could beat the Browns and Ravens because they have that experience with one another. But if they were to go to the Super Bowl playing the Niners, the Rams, the Eagles, the Lions, the Cowboys, I don't think that would happen. If the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, ugh, I don't even want to think about that. If the Packers win a Super Bowl, then it's like Jordan Love has a Cinderella story that we're all of a sudden talking about, sort of like what Rodgers went through when he won his Super Bowl. suddenly people are talking about this franchise dominance of going from Arnie Herber, Cecil Isbell, all the way to Bart Starr, to Brett Favre, to Aaron Rodgers, maybe to Jordan Love. Aaron Jones, I would love Aaron. I am a huge Aaron Jones fan. I would love if he won a Super Bowl. Niners, they have a complete team. I don't think I want the Niners to win a Super Bowl at all, just because I don't like seeing really talented teams like that win. I like to see underdogs. I try to root for them. But if Purdy won a Super Bowl, then it's like, wow, he's among those franchise greats. Y.A. Tittle, John Brody, Steve Young, Joe Montana. So like, yeah. Um, if the Lions won a Super Bowl, that would be nuts. That would be crazy. Detroit. Oh man, that would be crazy. If Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl and won, that would be nuts. Detroit would burn down. That would be crazy. I can't even comprehend that. Rams, sort of same situation as like the Chiefs. They've already been there. They've done that. Don't really want to see that again. Eagles, if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I kind of look at that. That would be a huge underdog story with how they finished the year. But we've sort of seen that in terms of records with what the Ravens did the last time they won the Super Bowl. If the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it'd kind of be in the same situation as the Ravens with like Lamar and Hurts, kind of in the same situation. People doubt them for their physical abilities. Even though both are very skilled passers, people look at the run game, people look at their rushing numbers. Rushing numbers is just an added bonus for these guys. I mean, you eliminate those rushing numbers, the passing numbers are still good enough. So those are my picks for the playoffs. You can check Jason's video out. I'm sure that's already posted. And yeah, go Eagles.